Alright everybody, just wanted to share with you the RetroBit Big 6 2.4 gigahertz wireless controller for Sega Genesis and USB equipped devices. So RetroBit was kind enough to send me out a Big 6 wired and wireless versions, and I have been enjoying the wireless version so much, I actually ended up picking up a second one that I am holding right here, for which to do a quick unboxing and share my overall thoughts of the controller with you. So this is more of an impression piece than an actual full-on review like I typically do, but I don't want to sit on this controller too much longer. Like, this is a cool controller that people should be checking out. So let's just go ahead and dive into the unboxing. All right, so here we have the RetroBit Sega Genesis Big 6 2.4 gigahertz wireless arcade pad. And as with all of RetroBit's previous Sega Genesis materials, I've really enjoyed how they stick to like the original branding and boxings with their licensing from Sega. So I mean, we have the Genesis branding here on the side, all embossed, the red stripes from later Genesis marketing materials. And then even the black background and the red right here is all just from original Sega Genesis products and controller releases from the time period. Like, it's so cool. And then again, the whole thing is nice and glossy as well. And then we got indications of the two included receivers for original console and USB. And yeah, it just looks good. Like, it looks good on a shelf. It looks good in your hands. But yeah. Genesis. RetroBit. But then here on the back again, it keeps that original Genesis type branding and placements. Like, it's just, again, it's just so freaking cool. But anyway, inspired by the original Sega Genesis control pad. It's just so good. Then quad of screenshots here. I don't know if anyone else cares about the box as much as I do, but like, I just absolutely adore how authentic this is. But anyway, I already went ahead and cut the security tabs here, so let's just go ahead and slide this guy open. And the inside box has a wireframe, well, a kind of wireframe outline of the controller. Wireless. Genesis, RetroBit, Sega. And ta-da, there it is, the Big 6 revealed to the world. So, Genesis receiver. It's one of the V2 receivers right there. Micro USB port for updating firmware. USB receiver, again, V2. And then, of course, the Big 6 itself in all of its chonk glory. Like, I freaking love this. I love this size so much. So yeah, as a player with bigger hands, I've always been more fond of the Sega Genesis's original controller. Unfortunately, it was limited to the 3 face buttons. So with this new 6-button pad, you really do get the best of both worlds. If you prefer the larger controller, you get the bigger size, you get the 6 buttons, and you're not restricted anymore. But to top it off, like, we get to keep the start button in the original position it was on the original 3 model controllers, and you don't have to stretch to the center, so that's kind of a plus in my book. D-pad is nice and rollable. Not quite the same D-pad that was on the original 3-button model, but that's okay. This is definitely an improvement. But rolls very well. All the buttons have, in my mind, a good tactile feel. Like, I really enjoy the way they feel here. But another cool additions to this controller, it is meant to also be used on Switch, PC, so there are shoulder buttons here for L and R, as well as a home and select button hidden on the underside of the controller here, so that way they're out of the way and not going to interfere with just your standard Genesis gameplay. But yeah, I seriously can't state enough, like, how much more I love this bigger pad compared to the smaller 3-button Genesis controllers. And for everyone wondering about durability, like, it is a solid monster. But anyway, some of the last things to note inside this box here. Got the user's manual. So this gives you some basic overviews of the controller, button mappings, how to pair, so yeah, cool controller. And then lastly, hidden under the box here, got a USB-C charging cable and a thank you note from RetroBit, complete with socials. Neat. But just to give you all a brief little gameplay demo here, we got Super Street Fighter 2 to be exact here for Genesis. I'm playing on PC at the moment, just because it makes it a lot easier to showcase the controller and all of its functionality to you, but it works really well. It's registering combos exactly as I do them, except when I mess them up. Oh dear. Okay, well, I just need to kill her real quick instead of playing around with combos. Now, I know I'm a pretty casual fighting game fan, but I mean, it works. It gets the job done, it's able to perform, and that's what I need it to. Will this appeal to hardcore fighting game fans on Genesis? I'm thinking maybe some will, but again, it's always going to be different going from a casual player audience to the more competitive side of things, just like with everything, but I don't know. I think there's a lot to love with this controller, regardless of how you play. Alright, and here we have Mega Man X2. I like to use this one as sort of a latency test because I have this game so muscle memoried for the intro beginning part, but to get the controller to work with this one, I changed it into X input mode for PC, so that's signified by the blue light here instead of it being red. But that lets me more easily remap the shoulder buttons without having to deep dive the settings. But one thing I will note about X input mode, the D-pad starts out in left analog stick mode, so it might not work by default for some emulators. So if you just hold start plus up, that'll change it to a D-pad, and you'll be good to go. But go in and remap controls as you see fit. And there we go, Mega Man X2 intro, feeling friggin' fantastic on the Big 6. So, latency should not prove to be an issue for most users in most use cases. Now let's talk about general compatibility with the Big 6 here. So with the original Genesis/Mega Drive receiver, it's going to work on your Model 1, 2, 3 Genesis systems, a number of different clone systems. So I've personally tested Polymega, the Super Retro Trio Plus, and then the Retron 5. It did have a couple issues with Retron 5, but I don't really ever use that system, but I do want to make people aware of that. And then, of course, the USB receiver can also be used on legacy operating systems like Windows 98, Windows XP, and Polymega as well, if you want to use this instead of the Genesis module. Phones, Mac, pretty much anything that supports X input or direct input should work. Steam Deck works great. RetroPies, like you name it, you're going to have a pretty compatible experience with this one. But again, I'm not going to demo everything here because I want to keep this video somewhat brief. We're kind of getting a little bit long-winded here, but again, I have just really been enjoying my time with the RetroBit Big 6. I've loved it enough that I have picked up a second one here, so that way both of my Genesis ports can be using Big 6s instead of the smaller 6-button pads. Another thing to note, if you have V2 Saturn receivers, you can also use this on Sega Saturn, so I love the interoperability that they offer. Anyway. So if you haven't already, do check out the Big 6 if you love the original form factor of the Genesis controller. It's a solid pad. I'm hoping to share more in-depth thoughts with all of you here soon, but just wanted to get something out here for you all to see about it because, again, it is a cool controller. It is definitely worth checking out. Holds up well under any gameplay condition that I've thrown at it, so I'd really love to hear some other people's thoughts on this one if you've picked it up. They should be pretty readily available now. If you pre-ordered them, you should already have them in your hands. So, I don't know. Let me know in the comments below what you think about it, because I've shared some of my thoughts. I'm going to share more in-depth thoughts, but I do want to hear from all of you. So let me know down below what you think. But we're going to go ahead and call it there. So thank you so much, as always, for watching today's video. Hope it has brought some awareness to the Big 6, if you didn't have it already. So, a couple of big favors here at the end. 1, check out the Big 6. 2, thumbs up, thumbs down, depending how much you like this video. And 3, hit that sub button and notification. Hit that sub button and notification bell so you can see when new videos go live on the channel. Loads coming your way, and I'd love to always have you along for the ride. And then a little bonus one, if you are interested in further helping support the channel, you can check out that join button down here on YouTube somewhere, or the Patreon link that'll appear somewhere around here. Yeah. Little goes a long way to keeping this place up and running and bringing this content directly to you. Big thank you to all of our current backers. You just remain outstanding people. I can never express enough gratitude to each and every one of you. But until next time, my wonderful internet peeps, you all keep on gaming. We'll see you back next video.